अनित्यदृश्येषु विविच्यनितं तस्मिन् समाधत्त इह स्मलीलया विवेकवैराग्य विशुद्धचित्तं यस्व विवेकी तमहं नमामि। विवेकजानन्द निमग्नचित्तं विवेकदानैक विनोदशीलं विवेकभासा कमनीयकान्तिं विवेकिनं तं सततं नमामि। ऋतां च विज्ञानम् अधिश्रयाद्दं निरन्तरं च ध्यानतहीनं सुखं सुरूपं प्रकरोति यस्य आनन्दमूर्तिं तमहं नमामि। सूर्यो यथान्दं हि तमो निहन्ति विष्णुर्यथा दुष्टजनांश्चिनत्ति तथैव यासाखिलनेत्रलोभं रूपं त्रितापं विमुखीकरोति। तं देशिकेन्द्रं परमं पवित्रं विश्वासपालं मधुरां यतीन्द्रं Vivekananda maham namami. Vivekananda maham namami. Namah Shri Atirajaya Vivekananda Suraye Satchit Sukha Sarupaya Swamine Tapaharine.
स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः परिपालयन्ताम् न्यायेन मार्गेण महिं महिषाः गोब्राह्मणेभ्यः शुभमस्तु नित्यम् लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु काले वर्षतु पर्जन्यः पृथिवी सस्यशालिनी देशोऽयं क्षोभरहितः ब्राह्मणाः सन्तु निर्भयाः ॐ सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ शन्नो मित्रः शं वरुणः शन्नो भवत्वर्यमा शन्न इन्द्रो बृहस्पतिः शन्नो विष्णुरुक्रमः नमो ब्रह्मणे नमस्ते वायो त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मासि त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्म वदिष्यामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारम् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः परिपालयन्ताम् न्यायेन मार्गेण महिं महिषाः गोब्राह्मणेभ्यः शुभमस्तु नित्यम् लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु काले वर्षतु पर्जन्यः पृथिवी सस्यशालिनी देशोऽयं क्षोभरहितः ब्राह्मणाः सन्तु निर्भयाः ॐ सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ शन्नो मित्रः शं वरुणः शन्नो भवत्वर्यमा शन्न इन्द्रो बृहस्पतिः शन्नो विष्णुरुक्रमः नमो ब्रह्मणे नमस्ते वायो त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मासि त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्म वदिष्यामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारम् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
ब्रह्मरूपं वरेण्यं विमलपरमहंसं रामकृष्णं भजामः। इतरिदम् अवतीर्णं ज्ञानभक्तिप्रशान्तिः प्रणयगलितचित्तं जीवदुःखासहिष्णुं धृतसहजसमाधिं चिन्मयं कोमलाङ्गं विमलपरमहंसं रामकृष्णं भजामः।
हरिः ॐ। यश्चन्द्रसां वृषभो विश्वरूपः छन्दोभ्योऽध्यमृतात् सम्बभूव समेन्द्रो मेधया स्पृणोतु अमृतस्य देवधारणो भूयासम् शरीरं मे विचर्षणम् जिह्वा मे मधुमत्तमा कर्णाभ्यां भूरिविश्रुवम् ब्रह्मणः कोशोऽसि मेधया पिहितः श्रुतं मे गोपाय हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ
ओम विशेषयुक्तं तत्पापि विश्वं विश्वासि विश्वं विश्वेशवन्त्या भवति भवन्ति विश्वाश्रयाये भक्तिनम्रा प्रणदानां प्रसीदत्वं देवी विश्वात्तिहारिणि त्रैलोक्यवासिनां ईटे लोकानां वरदा भव प्रणदानां प्रसीदत्वं देवी विश्वात्तिहारिणि त्रैलोक्यवासिनां ईटे लोकानां वरदा भव. ओम सिंधूराय कृपां त्रिनेनां माणिक्यं आदिस्फुरिक्तारानायकशेखरं स्मृतिं किं अपिन रक्षोरुगां पाणिभ्यां मणिपूर्णरुद्रशरं नृत्योत्तरं विप्रवं सौम्यां रत्नकटस्थरक्तचरणां ध्यायेत्तरामम्बिकां ध्यायेत्नपनासनस्थां विकसितवदनां भक्तायदाक्षीं हेमोपां पीतवस्त्रां करतलवलसकेनरत्नाम्बरां सर्वालङ्कारयुक्तां सर्वगुणप्रदां भक्तां भवामि श्रीनित्यां शान्तमूर्तिं सर्वसर्वदां सर्वसम्पत्प्राप्तिं.
हृदय कमलमध्ये राजितं निर्विकल्पं हृदय कमलमध्ये राजितं निर्विकल्पं सदसदखिल भेदा प्रकृति विकृति शून्यं नित्यमानन्दमूर्तिं प्रकृति विकृति शून्यं नित्यमानन्दमूर्तिं विमल परमहंसं विमल परमहंसं
ॐ शन्नो मित्रश्यं वरुणः शन्नो भवत्वर्यमा शन्न इन्द्रो बृहस्पतिः शन्नो विष्णुरुक्रमः नमो ब्रह्मणे नमस्ते वायो त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मासि त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्म वदिष्यामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारम् ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः
ओम ध्याये नारायणं स्वामी विवेकानन्दरूपिणं गीतेश्वरसमुत्तमं सत्तस्वराधिपं ज्ञानमूर्तिरूपं च पद्माशद्वन्द्वं ज्योतिपुञ्जं समाश्रित्य जगत्कल्याणकारिणम् ओम नमः श्रीधराचार्य विवेकानन्दसूरि सचिस्वस्वरूपाय सुशुद्धिरस्थासु मनसा वाचा कर्मणा चित्तान्द्रियं यद्यं निष्पुहं विलुप्तं यत्कुरं तत्सफलं ब्रह्मार्पणं भवति स्वाहा। पूर्णमद पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। ॐ प्रियदां पुण्डरीकाक्षः सर्वयज्ञेश्वरो हरिः तस्मिन् स्तुष्टे जगत्तुष्टं प्रणिदे प्रणीतं जगत्। हरि ओं तत्सत्।
Viveka Bhaskara Jaya Jaya Shri Vivekananda Jaya Vireshwara Viveka Bhaskara Jaya Jaya Shri Vivekananda Prema Tala Tala Kanti Suvimala Prema Tala Tala Kanti Suvimala Adhigata Veda Vedanta Tyagati Tiksha Tapasya Ujjvala Tyagati Tiksha Tapasya Ujjvala Chita Niramala Shanta Jaya Vireshwara Viveka Bhaskara Jaya Jaya Shri Vivekananda Jaya Vireshwara Viveka Bhaskara Jaya Jaya Shri Vivekananda Indu Nibbana Sundara Lochana Indu Nibbana Sundara Lochana Vishwamanava Chiravandya Karma Bhakti Jnana Trishula Dharana Karma Bhakti Jnana Trishula Dharana Chidana Jiva Mohabandhan Brahma Parayana Namo Narayana Brahma Parayana Namo Narayana Dehi Dehi Charanaravindam Jaya Vireshwara Viveka Bhaskara Jaya Jaya Shri Vivekananda Jaya Vireshwara Viveka Bhaskara Jaya Jaya Shri Vivekananda Prema Tala Kanti Suvimala Adhigata Veda Vedanta Tyagati Tiksha Tapasya Ujjvala Indu Nibbana Sundara Lochana Brahma Parayana Namo Narayana Dehi Dehi Charanaravindam Jaya Vireshwara Viveka Bhaskara Jaya Jaya Shri Vivekananda Jaya Vireshwara Viveka Bhaskara Jaya Jaya Shri Vivekananda Jaya Jaya Shri Vivekananda With help of but few, seeking the welfare of multitudes, carried by mother's blessing, led by his master's hand, he crossed the far-ranging ocean, the smiles of destiny marking the way. A light from the east has dawned in the western lands. A light from the east has dawned in the western lands. Adrift in America, monk unknown, a leaf floating on the infinite breeze, abandoning hope, forsaking plans. He sleeps by the wayside with naught to his name but the God in his heart. A light from the east has dawned in the western lands. A light from the east has dawned in the western lands. On one auspicious day, before that assembly so vast, he waited in silence until the very last. Then he rose and the world met a new prophet. Sisters and brothers of America, it fills my heart with joy unspeakable to rise in response to your welcome. And the people stood as one. As sages of old, he told of the Spirit, immortal, boundless, and blessed, hidden in the depths of the soul. And he brought them a glimpse of existence supreme. A light from the east has dawned in the western lands. A light from the east has dawned in the western lands. A light from the east has dawned in the western lands.
কে তুমি বাজালে নবীন রাগেতে ভারতের প্রাণবীণা। কে তুমি বাজালে নবীন রাগেতে ভারতের প্রাণবীণা। কে তুমি বাজালে নবীন রাগেতে ভারতের প্রাণবীণা। মধুর ঝঙ্কারে মুগ্ধ জগত চকিতে গাহে বন্দনা। মধুর ঝঙ্কারে মুগ্ধ জগত চকিতে গাহে বন্দনা। কে তুমি বাজালে নবীন রাগেতে ভারতের প্রাণবীণা। কে তুমি বাজালে নবীন রাগেতে ভারতের প্রাণবীণা। ললিত ছন্দে গভীর মন্দ্রে পশিল সে তান রন্ধ্রে রন্ধ্রে। ললিত ছন্দে গভীর মন্দ্রে পশিল সে তান রন্ধ্রে রন্ধ্রে। জাগিল সুপ্ত লুপ্ত গৌরব ভারত বর্ষ দীনা। জাগিল সুপ্ত লুপ্ত গৌরব ভারত বর্ষ দীনা। কে তুমি বাজালে নবীন রাগেতে ভারতের প্রাণবীণা। কে তুমি বাজালে নবীন রাগেতে ভারতের প্রাণবীণা। হিমাদ্রি শিখরে জলনিধি তীরে প্রাচ্যে প্রতীচ্যে দিগ দিগন্তরে। হিমাদ্রি শিখরে জলনিধি তীরে প্রাচ্যে প্রতীচ্যে দিগ দিগন্তরে। বেদান্ত মহিমা কেবল প্রচারে বর্ণিতে নারী সীমা। বেদান্ত মহিমা কেবল প্রচারে বর্ণিতে নারী সীমা। মহাযোগী বেশ করিলে ধারণ করি গুরু পদে মোর প্রাণ সমর্পণ। মহাযোগী বেশ করিলে ধারণ জ্ঞান ভক্তি যোগ জীব সেবা ব্রত করিলে বুদ্ধি পাওনা। জ্ঞান ভক্তি যোগ জীব সেবা ব্রত করিলে বুদ্ধি পাওনা। কে তুমি বাজালে নবীন রাগেতে ভারতের প্রাণ বীণা। কে তুমি বাজালে নবীন রাগেতে ভারতের প্রাণ বীণা। গৌরাঙ্গ অর্ধাঙ্গ গঙ্গা তরঙ্গে যোগী মহায়োগ কারূপ রাধে। গৌরাঙ্গ অর্ধাঙ্গ গঙ্গা তরঙ্গে যোগী মহায়োগ কারূপ রাধে। গৌরাঙ্গ বাঘছালা মুন্ডমালা শশী ভালা করতালা। বাঘছালা মুন্ডমালা শশী ভালা করতালা। কাড়ে কঢিমি ঢিমি কঢিমি ডমরু বাজে। কাড়ে কঢিমি ঢিমি কঢিমি ডমরু বাজে। গৌরাঙ্গ অর্ধাঙ্গ গঙ্গা তরঙ্গে যোগী মহায়োগ কারূপ রাধে। গৌরাঙ্গ अम्बराम्ब गान्धार दिगम्बर जटाजूट। अम्बराम्ब गान्धार गुणेश्वर श्याम राधा माधव राधा श्याम सृष्टि स्थिति लय कारण श्याम राधा माधव राधा श्याम त्रिगुणातीत गुणेश्वर श्याम राधा माधव राधा श्याम त्रिगुणातीत गुणेश्वर श्याम राधा माधव राधा श्याम गोविन्द्याच्युत यादव श्याम राधा माधव राधा श्याम नारायण हरि केशव श्याम राधा माधव राधा श्याम त्रिगुणातीत गुणेश्वर श्याम राधा माधव राधा श्याम त्रिगुणातीत गुणेश्वर श्याम राधा माधव राधा श्याम मुकुन्द मुरहर व्यामन श्याम राधा माधव राधा श्याम जय जय गोपी वल्लभ श्याम राधा माधव राधा श्याम त्रिगुणातीत गुणेश्वर श्याम राधा माधव राधा श्याम त्रिगुणातीत गुणेश्वर श्याम राधा माधव राधा श्याम अनुपम सुन्दर मोहन श्याम
This is a translation of our
This is from the introduction to the complete works of Swami Vivekananda. This introduction was written by Sister Nivedita, one of his very prominent Western disciples. The Swami Vivekananda would have been less than he was had anything in this message of Hinduism been his own. Like the Krishna of the Gita, like Buddha, like Shankaracharya, like every great teacher that Indian thought has known, his sentences are laden with quotations from the Vedas and Upanishads. He stands merely as the revealer, the interpreter to India of the treasures that she herself possesses in herself. The truths he preaches would have been as true had he never been born. Nay, more, they would have been equally authentic. The difference would have lain in their difficulty of access, in their want of modern clearness and incisiveness of statement, and in their loss of mutual coherence and unity. Had he not lived, texts that today will carry the bread of life to thousands might have remained the obscure disputes of scholars. He taught with authority and not as one of the pundits, for he himself had plunged to the depths of the realization which he preached. And he came back like Ramanuja only to tell its secrets to the pariah, the outcast, and the foreigner. And yet this statement that his teaching holds nothing new is not absolutely true. It must never be forgotten that it was the Swami Vivekananda who, while proclaiming the sovereignty of the Advaita philosophy as including that experience in which all is one without a second, also added to Hinduism the doctrine that Dvaita, Vishishtadvaita, and Advaita are but three phases or stages in a single development, of which the last named constitutes the goal. This is part and parcel of the still greater and more simple doctrine that the many and the one are the same reality perceived by the mind at different times and in different attitudes. Or, as Sri Ramakrishna expressed the same thing, God is both with form and without form, and he is that which includes both form and formlessness. It is this which adds its crowning significance to our Master's life. Our Master here refers to Swami Vivekananda, for here he becomes the meeting point not only of East and West, but also of past and future. If the many and the one be indeed the same reality, then it is not all modes of worship alone, but equally all modes of work, all modes of struggle, all modes of creation, which are paths of realization. No distinction henceforth between sacred and secular. To labor is to pray. To conquer is to renounce. Life itself is religion. To have and to hold is as stern a trust as to quit and to avoid. This is the realization which makes Vivekananda the great preacher of karma, not as divorced from, but as expressing jnana and bhakti. To him, the workshop, the study, the farmyard, and the field are as true and fit scenes for the meeting of God with man as the cell of the monk or the door of the temple. To him, there is no difference between service of man and worship of God, between manliness and faith, between true righteousness and spirituality. All his words, from one point of view, read as a commentary upon this central conviction. Art, science, and religion, he said once, are but three different ways of expressing a single truth. But in order to understand this, we must have the theory of Advaita. The formative influence that went to the determining of his vision may perhaps be regarded as threefold. There was first his literary education in Sanskrit and English. The contrast between the two worlds thus opened to him carried with it a strong impression of that particular experience which formed the themes of the Indian sacred books. It was evident that this, if true at all, had not been stumbled upon by Indian sages as by some others in a kind of accident. Rather was it the subject matter of a science, the object of a logical analysis that shrank from no sacrifice which the pursuit of truth demanded. In his master, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, living and teaching in the temple garden at Dakshineshwar, the Swami Vivekananda, Naren as he was then called, found that verification of the ancient texts which his heart and his reason had demanded. Here was the reality which the books only brokenly described. Here was one to whom samadhi was a constant mode of knowledge. Every hour saw the swing of the mind from the many to the one. Every moment heard the utterance of wisdom gathered superconsciously. Everyone about him caught the vision of the divine. Upon the disciple came the desire for supreme knowledge as if it had been a fever. Yet he who was thus the living embodiment of the books was so unconsciously, for he had read none of them. In his guru, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, Vivekananda found the key to life. Even now, however, the preparation for his own task was not complete. He had yet to wander throughout the length and breadth of India, from the Himalayas to Kanyakumari, mixing with saints and scholars and simple souls alike, learning from all, teaching to all, and living with all, seeing India as she was and is, and so grasping in its comprehensiveness that vast whole of which his master's life and personality had been a brief and intense epitome. These, then, the Shastras, the Guru, and the motherland, are the three notes that mingle themselves to form the music of the works of Vivekananda. These are the treasure which it is his to offer. These furnish him with the ingredients whereof he compounds the world's heal all of his spiritual bounty. These are the three lights burning within that single lamp which India by his hand lighted and set up for the guidance of her own children and of the world in the few years of work between September 19th, 1893 and July 4th, 1902. And some of us there are who, for the sake of that lighting and of this record that he has left behind him, bless the land that bore him and the hands of those who sent him forth, and believe that not even yet has it been given to us to understand the vastness and significance of the message that he spoke.
ॐ नमः श्रीयतिराजाय विवेकानन्दसूरये सच्चित्सुखस्वरूपाय स्वामिने तापहारिणे। We are having the public celebration of Swami Vivekananda's birth anniversary. Swamiji passed away in the year 1902. That's almost more than 80 years ago. So now, when we think of Swamiji's message, his contributions, and their relevance to our own times, a few straight thoughts just flash across my mind. If you look at the time when Vivekananda gave his message, in the year 1893, and how it was received in the United States and also in Europe, and of course before that in India as well, you find, so far as India was concerned, it's difficult to say that Swamiji gave anything new. Swamiji himself would have stoutly denied if I had told him, you have brought a new message. Because in Indian tradition, there is no such thing as a new message. What Vivekananda taught to India and what he brought can be summarized in that statement that you find in the inscription of the old temple in Filbert Street. Ekam sat vipra bagudha vadanti. That's all Swamiji taught, nothing else really speaking. And that message has been interpreted in so many volumes, so many books, so many commentaries by great philosophers in ancient India, especially so by Shankaracharya in 8th century. And that message Swami Vivekananda brought to America, and he preached in Europe, of course. But for America and Europe, what Vivekananda gave was absolutely new and spectacular and revolutionary. I am not exaggerating. Think of the later half of 19th century. Christianity was collapsing. Abrahamic religions were questioned. No exaggeration. See, Karl Marx came, Communist Manifesto, and Friedrich Engels, Das Kapital. Darwin came and he brought the origin of species. And the new philosophers who emerged in Europe, they began to argue that a religion that speaks of a man, a hefty, strong man, a muscular man sitting with a big stick above the skies, who creates this world 6,000 years ago and supervises the actions of his creation Such a God is absolutely ridiculous to even conceive of. This is what European thinkers were talking about. And this is what today Richard Dawkins and many others are still repeating today, all the way to our own times. In such a scenario, Vivekananda brought a new interpretation of religion. You know, the religion that he taught was called Sanatana Dharma. Sanatana Dharma is the actual essence of what you now call Vedanta and Hinduism. Sanatanam karatuti sakaroti di sanatana dharmaka. Sanatanascha aso dharmascha sanatana dharma. There are two different ways of this interpreting this Sanatana Dharma Indian tradition. Something that makes you eternal if you practice, and the religion of the eternal. This is the essence of Sanatana Dharma. And when Vivekananda taught it to Western world, when he explained this in the parliament of religion, they were listening to an entirely new revolutionary definition of religion. A religion that did not speak of a big dictator sitting above the clouds. A religion that that reminds you that the God you are worshipping in a church and a temple is right within yourself. There is no distinction between the God you are praying to in the temple, in a church, and you yourself. Could have been a great blasphemy on the face of it. Then Vivekananda talks about Advaita. He talks about the highest interpretation of Vedanta. The Advaita Vedanta, which tells you that at the highest level, God is not just an anthropomorphic being, but God is rather an impersonal, eternal, transcendental principle. Now, when Americans and Europeans listen to this, they clap their hands, they were inspired, and they cheered him. Now, this great interest in Advaita Vedanta continued right up to the beginning of the Second World War. It's a very interesting phase in the history of Vedanta, especially Advaita Vedanta in the West. Right from 1893, the year when Vivekananda for the first time expounded Advaita Vedanta, non-dualistic religion, in America, right up to the beginning of the Second World War, even there was a tremendous interest in this transcendental religious tradition that talked about the spiritual oneness and unity of existence. You don't hate your neighbor because God has asked you to do that, to not hate the neighbor. You should love your neighbor, you should not hate the neighbor. Not because God has asked you, but rather your neighbor and you are the same. If you hate your neighbor, you are hating yourself. If you are hitting your head with your own right hand, you are going to feel a pain. Now, this was received not just by the laity, but by the members of different denominations of Christianity. That's something absolutely wonderful. You find those people who clapped their hands and cheered Vivekananda in the Chicago Parliament of Religion. They were mostly Christians. I can tell you something very interesting. There was another Indian gentleman, and he was a disciple and devotee of Sri Ramakrishna to boot. P.C. Majumdar, a great preacher, orator, speaker, intellectual in Calcutta. This man had witnessed Vivekananda when he was a still young man of 18 years, reciting and singing Brahma Samaj songs composed by Devatirunnath Tagore and others. And somebody asked him, "Do you know this Narendra?" "Oh, I just seen him," in a very dismissive way, the P.C. Majumdar said. And this gentleman came to Chicago Parliament of Religion, 1893, in which Vivekananda became a celebrity. And there are two interesting contrasts here. P.C. Majumdar concludes his speeches by asking Americans to bring Christianity to India. Hindus are waiting just to be converted. You just come along. We are opening the door. This is how he concludes many of his speeches. Americans were not impressed. As I frequently say, they could see through the game. They were not impressed because they know this man is coming here to tell them something that he thought will please them. But they were not particularly pleased. Vivekananda, on the other hand, says something else. He criticized the tendency to convert people, the overdose of evangelical zeal, he criticized. But he repeatedly expressed his tremendous, profound respect and reverence for Jesus Christ. At the same time, he did not like the way Jesus Christ was being marketed by the missionaries in the East. And Vivekananda was all the more praised by Americans for this. So Swami Vivekananda, who gave a religion that talked about the spiritual oneness and unity of existence in creation, he was cheered, admired, and he became an overnight celebrity in America. P.C. Majumdar, who tried to appease his listeners by saying that we are in need of Christianity, please come and convert all of us. The essence of what he said, Americans were not very happy about it. So that on the one hand shows the greatness of Vivekananda and also the greatness of the people who were listening to him. Now this great appreciation, this admiration, this acceptance, this great natural encouragement and appreciation of this universal spiritual message, it continued right up to the beginning of the Second World War. If you look at the lectures that the Swamis in America and to a lesser extent in Europe gave and how they were appreciated. Here, of course, no less than 4 or 5 direct disciples of Sri Ramakrishna came here. Swami Vivekananda, Swami Abhedananda, Swami Sharadananda, Swami Trunadidananda, Swami Turiyananda, and Swami Nirmalananda. Almost 6 of them. The last one was also Vivekananda, one of the disciples of Sri Ramakrishna. They all came here. And this long trail of the great saints who had literally seen and were trained by Sri Ramakrishna came here. And then Swami Yatishananandaji, who claimed that he opened a temple and he closed the temple. He opened a center in Philadelphia and it ran for 6 years and he closed it and went to Europe. Before Second World War, he was traveling all over Northern Europe, including Germany, Switzerland, Sweden, then East Europe, and then he went back to India. Now, during all these decades, the first 3-4 decades of 20th century, witnessed a tremendous appreciation of Vedanta, Advaita, which was originally preached by Vivekananda here. Now, after 1970s, a new paradigm shift happened in the history of Vedanta in Western world. A number of other denominations, non-Vedanta, not entirely non-denominational, because Buddhism, according to Vivekananda, is only a humanistic interpretation of Vedanta, according to Vivekananda. Swamiji said, Buddhism is nothing but a humanistic interpretation of the Upanishadic philosophy. Now, may I ask you, what is Vivekananda's relevance today in this 21st century? Even this in the 2023 and 24. Look at the print media, the social media, the newspapers and social media. What do you find? Religious fanaticism today is worse than what it was during Vivekananda's time. During Swamiji's time, people could sit here and listen to Vivekananda. But today, if you read newspapers, you find much more bloodshed in the name of religion than was happening in 20th century anytime, because in 20th century, most of the world ruffians, record holders for bloodshed, were ultra-nationalists and communists. Hitler, Mussolini, and of course then Chairman Mao, Lenin, Stalin, and so on. They were either atheists or, that is communists, or they were ultra-nationalists like Hitler and Mussolini. But in today's conditions, what is happening is, it is on the basis of the literal interpretation of religious scriptures. That's the main problem today. Much worse than what was happening into this 19th century. And there, sometimes we forget one very important central message that Swamiji gave. This is something that people may not be aware of, may not have remembered, may not be able to remember. I shall quote some Sanskrit verses which tell you that whenever you find a conflict between some fundamental spiritual teachings which talk about the unity and oneness of existence and the highly divisive teachings, you throw to the gutter all the divisive filth and rubbish, and you accept only the highest humanistic, spiritual, universal ideas. Vivekananda, now the Swamiji used to repeat this again and again. To be more precise, suppose in a scripture, in a book, you may find two types of teachings. One set of teachings, very humanistic, very elevating, very refining, teachings that talk about love, compassion, mutual understanding, teachings that talk about humanity as one spiritual family. One God created this world, and the entire humanity, not only human being, but the entire creation is one spiritual family, God's children. This kind of teachings you find in Sermon on the Mount, in the parables of Jesus, in the teachings of Buddha, and also all over Bhagavad Gita, Puranas and Upanishads. And also you find the Jataka tales of Buddhism, Dhammapada, everywhere you find. So, to be very, please remember, one set of teachings which are very much needed for our times. Teachings that talk about love and compassion, that talk about the spiritual unity of humanity. These teachings will be there in most of the scriptures. Then there is unfortunately some other kind of teachings. Teachings which can be interpreted in a very divisive language. Whenever there is a conflict between these two, the teachings that make divisiveness should be rejected, and the teachings that talk about the spiritual unity and oneness of humanity should be upheld and accepted. So this Smriti Virodeshu Sridireva Gariyasi Avirodetu Sadakaryam Smartam Vaidika Sada. It comes to the Jabala Smriti. So this Smriti Purananam Virodho Yatra Drishyade Tatra Sraudam Pramanam Syat Tayoda, this Smriti Vyasa Smriti. And it's talking about the law books of ancient India. Law books, these are actually they are law books, Smritis. But this is the essence of teachings in the Upanishads that Swami Vivekananda preached. But then, today you find most of the problems in the world are created by a tendency to literally interpret a religious scripture. Swamiji's central message as he traveled all over India, Colombo to Almora lectures, is again and again he repeats, whenever there is a conflict between the Vedas and other teachings, you uphold the teachings of the Vedas. Vedas means Upanishads here. Upanishads means the teachings of spiritual unity and oneness of existence. Swamiji used to emphasize again and again. One of the running themes of his Colombo to Almora lectures, in the lectures that he gave in India, and also in his Jnana Yoga lectures that he gave in Europe, in London, is this. Wherever you find in scriptures and the teachings of prophets and religious leaders, whenever you find certain teachings which may only have contemporary relevance for those times for those ages. See, for example, the ancient Indian sages, they lived in the Indian subcontinent. And they talk about certain traditions and customs, social customs and habits. Those customs and habits are absolutely no relevant to 21st century. Vivekananda boldly said that. But the central teachings, which are universal, which are humanistic, which are spiritual, they do have a relevance for our times. So there are certain teachings which have only socio-anthropological implications. Because every teacher, every religious leader is born in a place and he has to speak the language of his place. He has to speak in the language, in the vocabulary, in the metaphor, in the allegory, in the imagery of the language which is spoken by the people among whom he is born. So, to give an example, Jesus Christ talks about sharing a small number of fishes, larger number of people. Now, if you go to the ultra-vegetarian community, they will consider it abhorrent. But the teachings of Jesus is relevant for all times. No doubt about it. Compassion, love, and so on. Buddha's teachings also have only, from a socio-anthropological point of view, they have a relevance only for Indian subcontinent. But the spiritual teachings of Buddha have a relevance for all people, for all times, in all ages. So, Swamiji used to repeat again and again, and that point should be emphasized in our own times. So religious scriptures need addition, modification, changes. This is a very, very important aspect of Vivekananda's teaching in the Colombo and Moral Lectures. Religious books, if you consider every single word, comma, and full stop as coming from God and non-negotiable, then there will be problems in the world. On the other hand, the essence of religious scriptures, which are universal, which have a relevance for all people, for all times, which talk about unity and love and compassion, they should be considered to be the most relevant part of the scripture. The rest have only socio-anthropological and contemporary relevance. Swamiji used to repeat this again and again. I believe that's perhaps the most significant part of Vivekananda's message and philosophy of our times. That is, every scripture is a combination of certain fundamental, essential, spiritual, humanistic teachings, and also certain teachings which have only contemporary relevance for certain people lived in certain time, certain socio-cultural, anthropological conditions. But beyond all that, the central teachings, the spiritual teachings should be upheld, and this is, I believe, is where Vivekananda's message has got a great significance for our times. Every religious scripture, according to Vivekananda, needs to be changed, edited. Not completely changed, rather reinterpreted. Every religious scripture needs a reinterpretation in every age. Actually, what Vivekananda did was just a reinterpretation. Nothing less, nothing more. Vivekananda did not give anything new. This is very important. I preach nothing but the Upanishads. This is something he tells again and again. I preached nothing but the Upanishads. And this is what Shankaracharya preached. This is what Buddha preached. Krishna, Rama, and also, if you don't mind, in a different way, it was that Jesus Christ also preached the Upanishads only. If you read the Upanishads, then read the Bible, the spiritual teachings of the Bible, you find Christ also was an interpreter of the Upanishadic philosophy. And you find Buddha, the same thing. So, but Vivekananda said, I taught only this eternal message of the Upanishads, nothing less. So, one of these central teachings was that the religious scriptures need constant reinterpretation to suit the demands and needs of changing societies. There are certain eternal unchanging spiritual themes in all great scriptures. They are the common spiritual property of the entire humanity. The rest are relevant for certain times, in certain conditions, in certain societies, certain cultures, not for the entire humanity and not for all times. This aspect of Vivekananda's message seems to be the most important message for our times, and is a pressing need of our times to emphasize these points. So this is a very auspicious occasion. So I was thinking what to speak about, what subject should I talk about. Then I thought maybe this is the most relevant aspect of Vivekananda's teachings that I want to discuss. Thank you. Namaskar. Now we have some important announcements. So after this we will have flower offerings. So please remember a few important points with regard to flower offerings. So devotees are requested to be seated and to pick up one flower each. Our ushers will bring trays of flowers to you, and you may please pick up just one flower and remain seated. And then after the flower distribution is over, I will repeat mantras that you repeat after me. And after that, our volunteers, ushers will take back the flower from your hands after repeating these mantras. And then those flowers will be offered here on your behalf. And after flower offerings, please remember, you should remain seated for prasad luncheon. So our volunteers and ushers will direct you to Vivekananda Hall for prasad luncheon. So this arrangement is important because this will help you to avoid traffic congestion while moving to Vivekananda Hall from the auditorium. So please remain seated and take one flower, and after the flower distribution is over, I will repeat the mantras. You please repeat after me, and then you may remain seated, and our ushers and volunteers will take back the flower and offer here on this tray on your behalf. And after that, our volunteers, ushers will direct you as you move to Vivekananda Hall for prasad luncheon. Thank you. Namaskar. So I will repeat the mantras now. Om Aim Esha Pushpanjalihi Sangaya Savaranaya Sashaktikaya Savahanaya Sabhaktaya Sarvadeva Devi Swarupaya Sri Ramakrishnaya Vaushat. Om Aim Esha Pushpanjalihi Sarvadeva Devi Swarupinni Sri Sharada Devi Namaha. Om Namasri Yedirajaya Vivekananda Suraye Satchit Sukhaswarupaya Swamini Tapaharini.